Welcome in, everybody, to That Damn Baseball Show. I'm joined by the boys, with the boys from Blue Jays Today. What's going on, guys? We want to just real quick take a minute. I'm a big Bills fan. For anybody that knows enough about me and my history, I'm a huge Bills fan. I've been a Bills lifer. So the DeMar Hamlin thing, the last 24 hours has been a wild ride. Obviously, for both of us or all three of us, our thoughts and prayers go out to him, his family. I want to say that through this tragedy, there has been sort of a refreshing reemergence of humanity when you look at how the outpouring of love that has been directed in his way, in his family's way, not just through words, but through actions, taking his kids' toy charity from $3,000 to over $5 million. It has been absolutely amazing. So I wanted to just come on and sort of just start us, give our first minute to that. Bills Mafia stand up, the rest of the NFL stand up. It has been quite a time, and thankful that at this point that Hamlin is doing as best as you could have at this point. Boys, on that note, how are you doing?
Doing good, Jimmy. Honestly, it's been a sad day of sports, but it really just puts in perspective how life can come up on you really quick and unexpected like that. But that's why we're grateful to be here with you today, talking baseball, focusing on the MLB season and getting excited for 2023, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, man. I feel like at any sports lover, like anybody really, like this really does put it all in perspective, and not just football, but for everybody, like we talk about these guys sometimes like they're not people, but they are. And it is dangerous out there, guys. So like for real, DeMar Hamlin, rest up, dude, get better. Our thoughts are with you. With that being said, though, we got some MLB to talk about today, everybody. We got some potential trades to go over, some predictions to go over. There's been a lot of big names that have been thrown around. Some of them have already been traded. We've seen some big trades go down this offseason, but are there still going to be a few more? We got a few guys. We got 5 of them, in fact. Jimmy, who are we starting with, big man?
Let's start with Bryan Reynolds. I think at this point, he is really the guy. We're looking at a key component here. We're looking at a star in the making. He's got years of control. He's got exceptional talent. He's also got a team that doesn't want to trade him. So we are all about predictions here. And the first prediction is, will he get traded? And I am in the camp of he will be traded at some point, but I don't think he's going to be traded this offseason, even though there's talk about the Yankees want him. Yankees have actually been in contact. You've got the Yankees out there. You've got the Dodgers could put a package together. Seattle has been mentioned as well. I really, truly believe that Pittsburgh franchise is going to hold on to him. Guys, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Jimmy. Like right now, like I've looked at so many articles, and coming up with potential trade packages, and all of them involve Yankees, Jason Dominguez or Oswald Peraza. And then you've got like George Kirby from the Mariners, Matt Brash, Jared Kelenic. Like these are names and packages that are just so ridiculously large that it almost doesn't make sense for many managers and GMs to go out and do that. Like, could it happen? For sure. You're trying to win a chip, but like, it just does not make sense for your franchise. Like in a whole, in my perspective, I think they're going to wait a little bit till the price goes down, or there's a dire need during the season where clearly trading for Reynolds right now makes a lot of sense. But this offseason, no.
Okay. Well, and I hear what both you guys are saying right now, but let's get a little bit more specific. You're saying, I think that basically just to read between the lines of what you're saying, Adam, is you think he could get traded at some point, kind of like what Jimmy's saying, but not right now.
Is that right? That's exactly
what,
right.
because both of you guys are in that camp, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but what is that timeline then? Like what if you had to give, like, is it going to be at this trade deadline? Is it going to be in a year from now? Like, at what point do you see this actively happening if it isn't this offseason?
I would say next offseason, sometime between next offseason and next trade deadline. Not this trade deadline, not this July, but next, because I feel like if Pittsburgh actually shows that they can win, you all of a sudden maybe Pittsburgh changes their mind on, all right, let's start ponying up the money here, because that's the issue, is that they're not able to come to an agreement on a contract extension. So if Pittsburgh, they take that step, and O'Neal Cruz takes another step, and Key Brian Hayes takes another step, and Jack Sawinski takes another step, you see these guys. And then the veterans that they bring in, if they start to see those winning ways, maybe Pittsburgh comes to their senses and they can work out a contract extension. But I think you need to have another 12 months pass on the calendar to kind of go through that ride to find out, can you work something out in the negotiations. So I'll say sometime between next offseason and the next trade deadline, you could see for a real the trade rumors, the trade rings really pick up.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say even further, Jimmy. I'm gonna go like until his last year, like his last final year of his contract, when Pittsburgh is holding on to him. They are holding on this man. They've made it very, very clear, and they're gonna keep the price high until that final year, where it's like, okay, now it doesn't make sense to ask for this much return. We're not a winning team right now. Okay, we have to trade him now. Let's do it at the trade deadline in his final year. Like I think we're going to be hearing about Bryan Reynolds trade rumors for the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years, folks. So get ready.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with either of that. And like, I'm on board with your logic. Like, I really do believe that the only team, the only squad that could change the whole narrative here is the New York Yankees, because we were looking at some of these trade proposals. We were looking at some of those other teams, right? I think that Bryan Reynolds would be such a perfect fit for the Cleveland Guardians. But I also don't think that the Cleveland Guardians would be willing to trade what it is that Pittsburgh wants right now. You know, I think that Bryan Reynolds probably, you know, even Seattle, they've been in contact, would probably be a really good fit over there. Am I convinced that Seattle would be willing to go out and to trade the assets that Pittsburgh's asking for right now? I'm not sure. I really do believe that the only squad that so far we've heard rumblings of, and that does make sense, and that would fit with their timeline and everything like that, is the New York Yankees. Yeah. And I think I tend to agree with you guys that it probably won't happen this offseason, but maybe Brian Cashman loses his mind. You know, maybe those guys over in New York lose their mind a little bit and say, you know, screw this thing. We're going to send all of our prospects over. We're going to win a chip. We're going to get past these Astros. I could see a reality where that goes down.
I actually want to hear from all the Yankee fans in our chats, from both Jimmy's side and our side. Like, how do you feel about trading away the Martian or Peraza? You know, like, how do you feel about that? Because I've seen a lot of guys on Twitter saying, like, I would lose my mind if we send any one of those guys away.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. What does Pittsburgh want back? I did a video a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where I sort of focused on those three teams that we talked about: the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mariners, and what a trade package would look like. And the Yankees, when we look at the baseball trade values machine, had Bryan Reynolds valued at $64 million. I was able to put together a trade with the Yankees that got to $58 million, so close, 64 to 58. That included Michael King, Clark Schmidt, Gleyber Torres, and the prospect Pereira. I'm blanking on his first name. That got it close, but the problem is Michael King has been in the bullpen. He is coming off an injury. Clark Schmidt really was moved to the bullpen because he didn't have wasn't really given the opportunity in the rotation. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah.
And so that trade, while interesting, and it includes Gleyber Torres, I don't know if Pittsburgh would take that back.
I agree, because it sounds like I'm just giving you my scraps, Jimmy. Like,
it really does, right?
If you're like, here, take something I don't really want.
Yep.
Give me the thing that I really want.
Exactly. They want Dominguez or they want Volpe. That's what they want. And that's what they're going to ask for right now. That's the whole Juan Soto package, right? That's what they want in return. That Yankees Pirates trade is close in value, but it's not even close to the Juan Soto return package, which Pittsburgh wants right now. So this is certainly something that I think we'll continue to hear about. Similarly to how we heard about, Jose Ramirez until he was finally locked up. I think we'll continue to hear rumors about this, but it's to me, it feels like a long shot.
Mm-hmm. Also, really quick shout out before we move on to Jordan N with the super chat saying, Jimmy, BALLCAP Sports and Blue Jays Today, boys. Great way to start 2023. Thank you, Jordan N. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. If you are enjoying this start to 2023, make sure to hit that like. Thank you for the support, and everybody in both on both channels. Make sure to hit that like if you haven't yet. Let's get those like counts up. Shall we move on to the next player? Maybe a player that has a little bit more of a chance to get dealt. What do you say, boys?
I think we should, man. Let's do it. Let's keep the train moving.
Let's talk about Pablo Lopez. So all of the good pitching pieces, the upgrades, the splashes are gone. And if you're trading for a starter at this point, Pablo Lopez is your guy. The question is Miami's ask too high based on, listen, he was great at the start of last year, but then from June on, his ERA was in the 4s. So if they're asking for an elite return package, our team's going to balk at that right now. You guys start us off this time. Do you think Pablo Lopez gets traded?
If any of these guys we're about to talk about tonight, I do think Pablo Lopez has the highest chance of getting traded because it's the perfect situation for Miami. I mean, you're not a competitive team, not with the Braves and the Mets and the Phillies. Like you're not going to compete here. Pablo Lopez, I believe, has 2 years left on his contract, on his arbitration years.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. Someone correct me.
Yep.
It's time for him to go. And you're right. Like, look, he's starting to show little signs. Maybe he is starting to slip up a little bit. So, but here's the thing. Pitching is always overvalued, I think, for a good reason.
Yeah.
Everybody needs good starting pitching. And I think people are willing to send over maybe a top prospect or maybe some other top 10 prospects in their system for a Pablo Lopez. And there's teams out there that need it, of course. So I think that Pablo Lopez, is he going to get traded this offseason? I still don't think so, but I'd be closer to 50% out of any of these guys. I'm close. I'm very close. What do you think, man?
I mean, it's the thing with Pablo Lopez is I feel like a lot of the big spenders when it comes to trades, like the guys that we typically talk about with firing bullets, might not be in the conversation anymore. Like Toronto Blue Jays, we're not in the conversation for Pablo Lopez anymore. New York Yankees, like I can't possibly imagine them being in the conversation for Pablo Lopez anymore. Is Seattle in this conversation? Like I don't know. Like I don't think so. Right? It feels like a lot of the squads that we typically
Dodgers?
I was just about to get to them actually.
Yeah.
A lot of the squads that we typically look at, except the Dodgers, in my opinion, are kind of out of this conversation. Now, I do believe that the LA Dodgers, like if Pablo Lopez gets traded, how I was talking about with Bryan Reynolds, like if Pablo Lopez gets traded, I think it's going to be the LA Dodgers. But just this exact same situation that Bryan Reynolds is with the New York Yankees, LA seems like the perfect fit and the perfect sort of partner that would be willing to send out a bunch of guys and that would be willing to shoot that shot. Especially depending on what goes down with that whole Trevor Bauer situation. We still don't know about that. That's going to be revealed very soon. But I could see LA Dodgers maybe being the squad if it does go down.
So I've got a thought for you for the Dodgers. Circling back to the LA Dodgers. Dodgers have a tremendous farm system, right? Even after all of the trades they have made, they still have a tremendous farm system. So on baseball trade values, we're going to pull baseball trade values up in just a minute for you guys. We're going to try to maybe work out a trade. I've already sort of gone through and looked at some of the Dodgers prospects. So Pablo Lopez's value on baseball trade values is $38 million. Just keep that number in mind, $38 million. The Dodgers have between two prospects, a hitter and a pitcher, a way to get right to that number. Michael Busch is a very highly regarded prospect and carries a value of $27 million. And they have a pitcher who's pretty much ready to go right now. But even with the current state of the Dodgers pitching, he's only going to get that opportunity if somebody gets hurt. Ryan Pepio. So you could put together a Busch Pepio package. Maybe you need to throw in another prospect, someone further down the line to, really entice the Marlins. But you can get to the value by going Lopez to the Dodgers for Busch and Pepio, and you don't hurt. And again, maybe you throw somebody in there that's got low value, but maybe Miami scouts really like and they can build them up. You can get there, and it would not take a whole lot, and it would not impact negatively that system, their farm system. So that's one. So I think that supports the Dodgers claim. Let me give you one that I think is rather juicy. All right. Do I think Pablo Lopez gets traded? I agree, Adam, that this is probably the player of everyone we're going to talk about that has the highest likelihood of getting traded. I think, let me pull this up real quick. What about the Orioles?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's juicy.
What about the Orioles? They wanted to do something this offseason, and they really haven't. Kyle Gibson, that's not enough. Right. So they really wanted to do something. Their general manager has said, coming off of last year, it's liftoff. Well, It's been a sputtering mess so far this offseason. So, again,
that makes sense. I mean, like, if they're willing to spend some top prospect capital, because that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you look at the Orioles lineup, like, it's pretty much full. I mean, you could, like, filter in a couple other guys, but it's pretty much full. The pitching obviously needs a lot of work, but if you're willing to ship off some of your prospect bats, for example.
Right.
Sure.
And
here's my one pushback on this, because I understand your reasoning. I like where your head's at. And frankly, if I was a Baltimore Orioles fan, I would be gung-ho for this. But let me ask you this. So we've heard the manager come out and say, we want to get liftoff. Yep. How many rumors did you hear circulating around MLB free agents this offseason? How many rumors did you hear Orioles name attached to? And is that because nobody wants to go to the Orioles? None of those free agents want to go there, or is that because the management actually wasn't doing it? So that's my question to you. Is that because they were sleeping on it? They come out and they say that they want to do stuff, or was it actually because nobody wants to go there?
Right. That's a fair question. Here's my juicy trade. Now here's the beauty. If Pablo Lopez doesn't want to go there, it doesn't matter, right? In a trade,
it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I was
thinking, right?
It was is the reason that they weren't attached to anybody because no one wants to go there, or because they weren't doing stuff?
You gotta force them to come. To
so
Baltimore.
That's the thing. If it's because no one wants to go there, then you're right. You got to make this trade.
Right.
But, or were they sleeping on it? So it's interesting to see where the
I want this to happen for the O's. Come on.
Me too.
This would be so cool.
So I'm going to. Here's what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get to. I have a trade that's just too perfect. Actually, I need to change the poll, guys. Let me give you. I had a poll running. Almost 200 votes on will Bryan Reynolds be traded this offseason. I have 51% saying no, 49% saying yes.
Very tight. Oh,
yeah, I'm going to give you guys a new poll. Will Pablo Lopez be traded this off season? And you guys that are with me here on BALLCAP Sports, there it goes. So the Orioles prospect situation, because the player that I'm thinking about trading away, I got to have a backup for, and I need to know how close. Yeah, he might be. This guy, Colton Cowser, was at AAA last year. He struggled a little bit going from AA to AAA. Played at 3 levels. Played at A, AA, and AAA last year. Spent about a month in AAA and struggled, but Cowser looks like he's the real deal. He's their number 4 prospect.
Damn.
I don't know why, but I am just fascinated with a player who's been in trade rumors before on the Baltimore Orioles side of things, and I don't know how they make this work. But if you put Cedric Mullins for Pablo Lopez, the Marlins get their center fielder, they get their outfield upgrade. The Orioles get a major upgrade with their pitching.
Wow.
The values are 38 to 36.
I like this. I would like this trade for the Orioles.
There's something there. Orioles fans are gonna be like, no, we can't give away Cedric Mullins. And I understand the hesitation to do that. But you change your rotation when you bring in Pablo Lopez. You bolster that rotation. The lineup is going to be so good this year. And I understand the desire to keep Mullins, but it may be what you have to give up, or you go the prospect route. If you don't want to do Cedric Mullins, and I think but that's the problem. I think Miami wants the impact, ready to go now player. Then you have to build up a package of players that's maybe DL Hall and Colton Cowser, or you got to go, Cowser and Baker. You're going to throw a couple prospects in there,
Right?
I'm just saying there's something rather juicy to Cedric Mullins for Pablo Lopez to me.
Yeah, honestly, I like this trade a lot. I don't think it's going to happen, but it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for the Baltimore Orioles, right? You get a little bit of a refresh in your lineup, get a little bit of youth, right? And then look, if Miami wants any shot with this glorious rotation that they have, you got to add some bats.
Yeah.
You got to have some bats ready to go right now, and Mullins would be the guy, and he's got great D. I like this a lot.
So, and the other element to this is the Cedric Mullins financial situation. I mean, the beauty of Mullins is that he has been in pre-arbitration, and I believe we are entering year 1 of arbitration for Cedric Mullins. So he's now going to start making some serious money. We're looking at about $4.5 million is projected to go to Cedric Mullins from Fangraphs. And the Orioles, I don't know. If they're going to put $4.5 million out to somebody, would they rather spend that money on Pablo Lopez, who's early in arbitration as well? I mean, you get 2 years of control with Mullins, you get 2 years of control with Lopez. So it's a long shot trade, but juicy and fascinating and all of that stuff, all that good stuff that we like.
I like it.
Shall we move on, boys?
Let's do it,
bro. Let's
all right, let me get the screen out of the way. We'll go back and let's talk Red Sox.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna kind of flip the script just a little bit, because I think we've heard that the Red Sox and Miami were talking trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do we think that what they were talking was Tristan Casas and Pablo Lopez? Do we think that might have been it? So let's talk about Tristan Casas. I will say, if he gets traded, that is just another shit stain in the bucket for this Boston Red Sox offseason. You cannot trade Tristan Casas.
No.
So I hope that it is a no.
No, you can't. I agree with you, Jimmy. You can't. Like, imagine being deprived of water. Right, for like the last 3 years, you are crying, you are begging, you're pleading the gods to rain. I need water. And then guess what? As you're dying, as your team's collapsing, as you're losing parts of your body, called like Xander Bogaerts and JD Martinez, you're like, I'm on my deathbed. Then all of a sudden, out of the sky comes water. Oh, it's Casas, the first baseman we've always needed for the last 3 years. But I don't want it anymore. Let's get Pablo Lopez, and let's see if we can compete in this competitive AL East again. No. You guys need to rebuild those arms that you lost in Xander Bogaerts and JD Martinez and your pitching staff, and you need to keep Casas. I don't know why this is even a discussion. Why? I don't see it.
Well, okay, to play devil's advocate here.
Please.
I also think, just to use the same analogy that you were just using, they've been needing, not just a first baseman for a while, but that water, I think we've been talking about it for a long time on this channel, also comes in the form of pitching.
Yeah,
Boston's pitching has been pretty subpar to almost god-awful ever since Chris Sale, has decided to live on the IR, So I do understand what you're saying about how it's like, yeah, we are definitely missing like that first baseman, and they do need it. They absolutely do need it.
Yeah.
But, could I see a reality where it's like, okay, like there's a young pitcher available. Our scouts like him a lot. We think he's really good. He has potential to be an ace. And, if we could lock him up and for a long term and build our pitching staff around that, I don't necessarily hate it from that regard.
If they lock him up, because here's my problem. They have a problem with locking people up.
They do. They absolutely do. Yes, they do.
So I'm just like, that's why I'm confused. What do you think, Jimmy?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. And I again, I'll just circle back to don't, for the love of God, don't trade Tristan Casas. You find pitching somewhere else. I don't try to hoodwink somebody for Bobby Dahlbeck. Try to, if you're going to lose Rafi Devers, trade him for go find, call Miami back, in June or early July and start working on something for their wealth of pitching. Do not get rid of Casas. The control that you have on him, he's in pre-arbitration. He won't be a free agent until, 2027 probably. You can't do it. You just can't do it.
Is there any, potential here, any reality where they were actually talking Pablo Lopez and Rafi Devers? Is there any potential that that's the conversation that was going on?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the report was that they were that Miami was making offers and Boston had been turning them down for Casas and not for Devers. And I got to think that Ken Rosenthal, John Heyman, Bob Nightingale, everybody that lives in that space, if there were active trade discussions going on with Devers, that they would want to put that out there. And that they would not.
That's fair. You're probably right about that. Yeah.
In Boston probably needs to do their best to show Devers that their only objective is to sign him. If it gets out there that they're talking trade, then that might turn Devers off.
We'll never be able to extend them if that conversation gets out.
Yeah. Yeah, it would hurt. That would hurt. That would hurt their chances there, I think.
I would agree.
Update on the poll. Those of you that voted on the Pablo Lopez, we had 67% said yes, 32% said no. We have the poll up. We'll leave it up for another minute on will Tristan Casas be traded. That is at 68% no, 32% saying yes. I think it is highly unlikely. I guess it is. Can't rule it out because it's out there, but I think it is highly unlikely. Again, I'll leave that up for a few more minutes.
I think that Boston has the right idea if they are actively taking phone calls for Pablo Lopez. Like they should be. If I'm Boston, you should be in that conversation. And the fact that we haven't even been talking about Boston at all in the whole, spectrum of pitching markets, and they pick up, the scraps of the scraps, which is Corey Klubers of the world. It's like, Boston is a big market, and you should be in these talks. You should be in these talks.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to listen on – the Red Sox are going to – I mean, this is what GMs do. Somebody calls up, they'll listen. It has gotten a little bit farther than that, right, because of all the reporting that's out there. So we've got Casas. I'm going to end the poll, and we finished at 69% no, 31% saying yes. And I have to encourage everybody – we're going to get to another Red Sox player. I want to encourage you all to hit that like if you haven't not yet. Let's get both of these streams up to 100 likes. Get that count up. If you haven't used your like yet, please use it now. Let's try to get a like spike going. If we can't get to 100, let's get as close as we possibly can so that the next batch of people that come in can help maybe push us over the threshold.
Amen.
Let's do this. Let's talk about another Boston Red Sox.
This one even makes me more angry.
It's not going to be Devers. It is going to be Chris Sale. I actually think there's a better chance of them trading Sale than there is Cassis.
Yeah.
But you guys lead this one off. What do you think?
The thing is, man, it's the opposite reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's like in my opinion, right? It's like everybody wants Cassis, right? Like if we could trade for Cassis, I'd love to have Cassis.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how many people want Chris Sale at this point with that contract on with that $30 million that's attached to him, pretty much every single year, right? Like if you are trading Chris Sale, the problem is you need to get a team that is first off willing to take him, and then you probably need to come to a secondary agreement as to how much of his salary you are going to hold on to. And that's going to be the tough part, I think. Everyone will probably take Chris Sale for free, but that's not what Boston wants. They want you to pay for some of him, and I don't know how many people are going to want to do that.
No, you make a good point about the contract. Like, yeah, if I had to maybe take a quarter or a third of his contract, which would be about like somewhere between like $5 and $10 million. I think it's like a 32 for next year or something like that. Like if I'd only pay like 10 million of that, yeah, I might take a chance. I mean, I just took a peek at his numbers, and look, he has not been healthy. He started like 11 games last 2 years, but when he's healthy, like, a 3.18 ERA, solid, classic Chris Sale. You could slot him in as your number 2, number 3 guy. Like, he could help your team, but is he reliable? I mean, I see it from this perspective. We're already paying $10 million to Yusei Kikuchi. I'd probably still pay that $10 million for a 3.18 ERA of like maybe 7 starts of Chris Sale. Maybe that's probably more war. I don't know the math, but maybe it depends on that of how much Boston's willing to eat up. But then I got to ask you, Jimmy, like what kind of return would you get from a Chris Sale from Boston if you're trying to stay competitive? But then you're trading away guys, but you're keeping some. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you looking for here?
I feel like we've been down this road before, and it's the David Price road, where the Red Sox. Now Mookie Betts was involved, and I do not think that we'll have a situation where we see another Red Sox superstar go to the Dodgers and they throw in a starting pitcher's bloated salary. But I can see a situation where the Dodgers come along and they maybe scoop up Chris. I think it is at least a 50% chance that this actually goes down. I'm going to throw this question out on the poll. Will Chris Sale get traded?
Funny that you say that. I actually had the poll going right now in our chat, and it's at 56%. So it's everybody's pretty split on it. I really don't think that like if they're trading Chris Sale, I don't really think that the point is to get much of a return. I think the point
get rid of him
is to trade Chris Sale. Like the return is we don't have to pay him $15 million. That's the return.
Right. So I guess they're looking for people to eat up their contract, which made me just think about, do you think they're maybe trading Chris Sale so they could formulate some sort of Devers extension?
It's not impossible. I mean, like that makes a lot more sense to me. Like that's actual logic. I think, if we're starting to talk about Boston's management as if they have like some semblance of a brain, then I feel like that's where it needs to be at. It's like we give away to Chris Sale, you take on half of his contract, and now we have an additional X amount of dollars to go to Raffy Devers.
Right, because from a players on the field standpoint, from which I'm trying to win a championship standpoint, it doesn't make sense for them to be in conversations of getting Pablo Lopez and then also trading away Chris Sale, just from players on the field and trading away a Cassis. Like that just feels unnecessary. But from that perspective, I can agree. I can see the logic there.
I think, let's see, I'm looking at a Dodgers possible. I feel like you would want to get something. Yeah, this is the trade right here. I've got the trade. I've got it ready to go. I don't have the money involved, but I've got the trade right here. This is your Dodgers. This is your Dodgers and Red Sox trade right here. You've got Chris Sale to the Dodgers. You've got Michael Grove to the Boston Red Sox. Michael Grove is the number 24 prospect. He's 26 years old. He's ready to pitch in the major leagues. So
literally looking this guy up right now.
You can insert him. You can insert him into the equation, bullpen or starting rotation, and he's a piece. And you probably, to even get Michael Grove back, I think you are going to have to, Boston Red Sox, take on some of that salary.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 75% of the salary you
Mhm.
eat. The Dodgers pay 25% of that
Yeah.
and give you Michael Grove, and you can build that sort of trade together. I mean, it is, like you said, it is the salary dump. It is moving on, getting out from underneath it so they can free up some money, because apparently the Red Sox operate on a thin budget these days.
Right?
And they need money to pay Rafi Devers, even though they just freed up a whole bunch of cash by letting Xander Bogaerts walk. So
Is it possible that, I mean, like, I guess this is rolling the dice again. Is it possible that the Boston Red Sox wait it out, hope that Chris Sale comes back and is healthy and actually pitches for a good ERA to start the season, and then does it?
well, the danger is, what if he?
Well, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
You're rolling the dice.
He doesn't.
You're
Yeah.
rolling the dice. The good thing about that, though, is you're almost starting at zero. Like, it is kind of hard to get worse than where Chris Sale's at right now.
Like, Grove. No disrespect to Grove, but like, man, where Chris Sale was in 2016 to now.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is too, it's not just Grove. It's the fact that you're only getting rid of 25% of the salary.
Yeah,
it's like you're still eating most of it.
Oh.
Yeah, they're in a spot where if you want to try to get out of it, you've got to get out of it while he's healthy, and now's the time to do it. If they're going to do it, because he's going to get hurt next year. He just is. I would be willing to bet money that he makes less than 20 starts. And if he makes more than 20 starts, that's great. Great for the Red Sox, great for Chris Sale. I'm not rooting for the guy to be hurt, but I'm just from a organizational standpoint, you have an asset that is flawed. And and this is a very expensive asset, if you can spin it off at a moment when, hey, this thing doesn't look so bad anymore, but that underneath it all, it's kind of grimy, and I don't want anything. I can't keep paying for this. But if you can find the right time to spin it off, you do that. And listen, maybe Chris Sale comes back and he's Cy Young Chris Sale, and that would be great for Boston. But I think the odds are far more greater that we have more injury problems. He maybe has a lights out month, but something just seems like it's going to creep up. There's too much.
It's really too bad, man. Because like, looking at Chris Sale's numbers right here, like, we probably injury. It's going to be close, but injury will probably keep him out of the Hall of Fame. It's if he was to stay healthy and continue doing what he was doing, like, this Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
but he stopped when he was 29.
I mean, that happens, and that's why when I on the channel I talk a lot about peak age years. And I look at that sort of 26, 27 is when it starts, and then by about 32 is when it can start to deteriorate. And the reason why is just your skills start to fall off. You're not as good at 32 as you were at 27. And injuries, tweaks, things, pulls just take longer to recover from. And he's entering his age 34 season. So he is out of those prime years. You just can't. I mean, 2 starts last year, 9 starts in 2021. I remember 2021, he came back late, so he made those 9 starts, and I think he made 2 starts in the postseason.
Yeah.
Did not pitch in 2020. 25 starts in 2019. They were not good. But so we haven't seen him be great since, like you said, 2018. That was when he was in his age 29 season, and now we're out of those prime years. You just don't know what you can expect. It is too bad, because, like you said, I mean, he was on a track there from 2012 up until 2018 where he was one of the best pitchers in the game.
Oh, yeah. Remember when they had Boston had him and David Price, and it was looking like an insane rotation. That was an insane number 1 and 2. Yeah. Wow. Boston has fallen, boys and girls.
It's and that 18 team, they got their World Series.
They did.
Right? They got the 18 championship. And it's just been kind of down since then.
Yeah.
let's see here. We've got one more player to talk about, and it is the big guy. We're talking trades. We're making trade predictions.
Yeah.
So we can't leave this guy out. Why not?
No,
So
never.
let's talk about Shohei Ohtani, and let's give the fuel for a trade. Now, I will open this up to be, will Shohei Ohtani be traded between now and the trade deadline to make this extra enticing? Because I think we all know that he's not going to be traded. And by the way, my Chris Sale poll, we had 53% no, 47% yes. So Ohtani, between now and the trade deadline, boys, what do you think?
It's a tough one, man. We literally have, for everybody watching right now, a video coming out tomorrow addressing pretty much all of these Ohtani rumors that have been flying around in the last few weeks. And looking at all of them, man, it's just all so nuts because there's so many squads that are going to want to get in on this. And the packages that you see some of these analysts throwing out here, it's video game. It is so video game, but then you're also dealing with a video game player, right?
Yeah.
So it's the one time where it's like, maybe this does make sense to give up every one of our prospects, because this is literally two players packaged into one. The big thing, like the only thing that holds me back here is the Angels management. That's it. I think that they're going to get some absolutely bonkers packages sent their way. I do believe that they're going to get those offers. Are they going to have the balls to piss off their fan base? Are they going to have the balls to do it? Yeah. That's the one barricade, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, again, thinking from video game standpoint, you should trade this guy. Doesn't make any sense. You're not going to be winning. I don't care how many additions you make. I really don't. How many Brandon Drewers you add to this team. It's just, I just don't think it's going to be enough. You're going to fall flat again in the AL West.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like, if you trade Ohtani, you lost your fan base. You just lost it. You lost it. Like, it's over now. Yep. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to ride him all the way until the end, unfortunately, for the return. Like, you're not going to get any return. So that's unfortunate.
What do you think, Jim?
Here's what I think. There's so many uncertainties. There's things that need to happen. The Angels need to go through their sale. They need to find the owners. They need to get new people in there. They also need Shohei Ohtani to say, I'm not going to resign. Now, that hurts the trade negotiation, because then all of a sudden, right, like wherever he goes, you're only getting a rental, because I'm not going to resign. I want to be a free agent. The Angels kind of need that for the fan base, because then they can justify it to the fan base as to why we traded him is because he wasn't going to resign, and we gave him, basically just run the playbook that the Nats just ran through with Juan Soto. Give him the Godfather offer, have him turn it down, which forces him to essentially say, I want to be in the free agent market, in the free agent pool. I want to test those waters. And then you are at a point where, okay, well, our hands are tied. We have to trade him. Fan base, Angels fan base, we're sorry, but we have to trade him because we cannot let this guy walk and get nothing in return. And then the question becomes, what are you going to get back? Because at least with Juan Soto, the Padres were getting a couple of years, and they will try to re-sign him. But whoever trades for Shohei Ohtani might not be able to get that re-sign done.
Yeah.
So the value, this is where it also gets interesting, is at that time when we're in July, and let's say the Angels are not winning, because that's the other element. If the Angels are winning, you can't trade them.
Yeah.
But if the Angels are losing, they're below 500, they're out of it. He won't sign the extension. They got the new owners in place. You got to do something.
Yeah, they're going to be.
What are you going to get? What do you get at that point? Because you will not get equal value based on the baseball trade values. It will look like a loss, whatever you get back, because nobody's going to empty the farm system for Shohei Ohtani for 2 months of Shohei Ohtani.
You know what? I'll be honest, man. I disagree with you. I disagree with you there, because I think that you're going to have you're going to have these big egos, these big top dogs that we keep referencing here. Steve Cohen of the Mets. You're going to have the Dodgers. You're going to have the Yankees. You'll have the San Francisco Giants in that mix. You may have the Padres. You're going to have a lot of squads here. And I think that you actually do potentially empty the farm system, not only for half a season of Shohei Ohtani, but for half a season of exclusively talking to him about an extension. You know, like I think that whichever team trades for him, it's going to be one of those big squads, and I do not think that they let him walk. I do not think that they let him walk.
You got to
trade for him. I guarantee he remains a Dodger. If the Mets trade for him, he's a Met. Like, I think that they work the deal out, and I think that you pay to have the opportunity to even work that deal out.
Yeah. The different intricacies with this is fascinating because, yes, you do get essentially you get that exclusive to negotiate with him and try to lock him in. I guess the only question is, let's say the Angels give him the Godfather offer. They offer him $500 million for 13 years and he turns that down. And you're the Mets or you're the Dodgers. You're like, oh my God, he turned that down. So it all of these unforeseen circumstances that need to play out just right for us to get to this situation will definitely impact that. I feel like also to that point, if the Dodgers say they're out, right? The Dodgers like, we're not doing it. Then the Mets, I think, can also say, all right, well, then we're not giving up the prospects either. I think what will motivate the Mets or the Dodgers or the Padres to really go hard is to know that their rivals are also going hard. Because if the Mets are a team that, listen, if Shohei Ohtani is going to reach free agency, the Mets don't need to trade for him because Steve Cohen will just pay more than anybody else. Yeah. Right? There's no chance that the Dodgers seem like they're saving money for Shohei Ohtani, but it won't matter because Steve Cohen will just pay him $100 million a year. Steve Cohen won't care. Yeah. So he's if Cohen if Ohtani reaches free agency, I think he's a Met. But if the Dodgers do pull off that trade because they're trying to prevent that, then do the Mets step up and say, okay, we didn't want to do this. We didn't want to give you Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos and Logan Allen or whatever. I don't even know if Logan Allen's still a Mets prospect, but we didn't want to do that, but we're going to do it because we can't have him going to LA and them getting the scoop. It's going to be fascinating. I am so excited for June for so many reasons, and this is one of them.
I know, absolutely, man. And like, I really hope, because I really think he is going to be a free agent. He's going to walk on whatever team, and that sweepstakes. I mean, whatever his agent is. I mean, how could you? You got to go test the free agency market. Like, how do you? Unless they trade for you, offers the $500 million, whatever, and you're in LA or whatever, it's perfect. Sure, but like, how do you not?
After Judge. After what everybody just saw with Aaron Judge, got $100 million more, $120 million more by going into free agency. Yes. How does Ohtani not do it? Even if the Dodgers, even if somebody does come with $500 million for 13 years, he still probably needs to think, I could probably do better if I had this offer plus the Dodgers plus the Mets, which is insane to think that he could do better, but he probably could. And that's where you get to. He's probably going to be a free agent. It's just like Devers is probably going to be a free agent because you'll get more money. You'll get more money. This is the Steve Cohen factor. You will get more money thanks to Steve Cohen. Even if you don't end up with the Mets, even if you end up with the Giants or the Dodgers or wherever, you will get more money because of the Mets and Steve Cohen. Owners are going to hate this. Oh my God, the CBA is going to be a GD disaster in 4 years. Holy crap.
Okay, last quick thing about Ohtani, because I see someone saying the $500 million. People are talking about how much money he's going to make. Okay, let's talk about the total figure at the end. Forget years.
Yeah.
Realistic guess. Obviously, a lot of factors depend on and they vary. Realistic guess, my gut, 500 seems like a lot. I'm going to say like 465 million. That's the highest paid contract. It's not like jumping like $75 million more than Mike Trout or whoever he gets paid. I think it's like 425-ish. That seems like a big jump. 465. Any thoughts on that, boys?
I don't know, man. We're in unprecedented waters here. Like, I really don't know how to judge this, and I didn't think that I didn't think that Aaron Judge was going to get $360 million. Like, I thought he'd get close, but I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think that some of these other guys that got paid this offseason would get as much money as they did. Like,
Yeah.
I really have no idea. Shohei Ohtani is a completely different player than any other player that we've literally ever seen ever. So I don't know. I'm not even going to throw my hat in the ring on this one.
So I think it goes to 500. I do think he gets $500 million. I just put up a video the other day, Ohtani, first $500 million man, ? And the whole precedence, what motivated me to do that was Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation website has Angels dedicated. I think they have dedicated for all teams, but for the Angels, they were talking about how MLB agents expect Shohei Ohtani to get a record contract. And this was, I believe, John Heyman was interviewing agents, not Ohtani's agent, but agents from around MLB. What do you think Ohtani's going to get? And some of the responses were 500 for 13 or 14 years, 475 to 525 over 13 seasons, 11 times 50, so 11 years at $50 million a year. And another quote, it sure seems like it's something that starts with a 5 in front of it. So he is entering his age 28 season right now. So the first year of the contract will be his age 29 season. And we just saw deals to get the AAVs down. We saw deals go 12 years for Trey Turner. We've seen Bryce Harper get the 12, 13 year. Correa until it fell apart with the Giants, right? Bogart. So we're seeing these deals go long to get the AAV down. So if it is 10 years, 50 million. So let's make it whatever the math needs to be. What would that be? 13 years at 40 million or something to that about that to about 50. So I can see somebody paying Ohtani through his age 41, 42 season to get the deal done.
Wow.
And get that. And that is how I think it could get to 50. Maybe it ends up coming up high, but I could see it going to 50.
I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this to derail the video or anything. And I think we're coming to the end anyways, but there's no fucking way that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signs an extension before getting the free agency.
No.
Like, there's no way. Like, just like the way that we're talking right now, like, he's going to free agency, guys. Like, shit.
How do the Braves keep doing it? How do the Braves keep doing it?
That's a whole different bit. I could go on forever about like why I think the Blue Jays messed that up hardcore.
Yeah,
like we really did. We should have done it a long time ago, and we didn't.
There's no way he's signing an extension. We got 3 years, guys. Win a World Series.
Well, we know the Yankees won't be involved. We know he won't have the Yankees as a potential suitor when that day comes.
God, Dodgers maybe, probably.
I know. Yeah, they're gonna have to pay him the full value. They're gonna have to give him the Tatis contract. You gotta buy out these early years to make it worth his while. And if they're not gonna buy out those early, start paying him $25 million a year now, and pay him late. That's the only way you're gonna get it done is you start paying him now. When
I honestly think it might even be too late because with 3 years left, on the deal, like and sniffing free agency and seeing these, like, if he hits another 40 home runs this year, guys, it's like it's over. It's over.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Let's do this. I believe it is Ratchet. I know that I still owe you this one for a full episode, and that is coming next week. I'm rocking the Bills today again because of everything that's going on. So I will be paying off a bet with the Seattle hat next week. But guys, I think we're there. There. Any final thoughts from you guys as we wind things down?
Well, I guess to wrap up all my thoughts on all these players is, guys, look out for no more trades this offseason, but you can bet your bottom dollar that we'll be talking about every single room that comes across the table because we want a trade to happen. Logically,
Yes.
shouldn't, but wouldn't that be even better though? The fact that it doesn't make sense and then it happens,
I mean,
that would be even better.
There's been a lot of stuff that I didn't expect that's gone down. So I like literally, I think that, you know, the one thing that I tell myself every day when I do this thing is that at the end of the day, we really don't know anything. You know, we think we know stuff, but we don't. So we try our best to break down the rumors, but we'll see what happens, guys. We're along for the ride just as much as you are.
Even those that do know things and have connections, they don't always know.
Hey, no,
Yeah, they don't know.
We've seen that a lot this offseason.
Yes.
Anyway,
exactly.
all right, everybody, if you could, on the way out, be sure to hit that like, leave a thumbs up on your way out. It will help the replay views for this. So thank you for doing that in advance. Make sure to subscribe, turn those alerts on, stay close because this is, I know we took last week off, but Tuesday, 8:30, this is our spot. So make sure you're back here next week for more damn baseball. Boys,
Right.
everybody in the chat, thank you for coming in. Salute you all. Have a good one, guys.
Cheers, guys.